Is Johnny Russell on his way to Tannadice? Can St Mirren get themselves out of trouble? And it's only 100 days to the World Cup, and Scotland are there. I'm Ray Bradshaw, and it's about time we get stuck into some of Scottish football's big questions. Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast, all the news, views and analysis you need on Tuesday the 3rd of March. And are Dundee United about to see a familiar face return?
It's Johnny Russell, surely it's two, it is two! The second goal arrives on 73 minutes. It's Johnny Russell's first for his country.
Could Johnny Russell kickstart a Tannadice revival? And talking of revival, that's something St Mirren could desperately do with.
So as I said, it's a point gained, another point away from the bottom, and we said get 4 points out of these two away games. And whatever way you do it, it doesn't matter. So we go on to the Dundee United game.
Do they have what it takes to get the quagmire at the bottom end of the table? And it's 100 days until the greatest show on earth begins. Are we starting to get overexcited right now for the World Cup?
It's chipped! Glorious! Glorious! Kenny McLean with the halfway line!
From relegation playoffs to plotting a path to the World Cup final, we've got all of Scottish football covered right here.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast. On Tuesday, we've got two brilliant guests as ever. First up, we've got Robbie Neilson, the former Hearts, Dundee United manager over at Lommel in Belgium just now. Robbie, you good?
All good, Ray. Thanks, mate. Yes.
Is it sunny? You look very sun-kissed where you're sitting.
It's coming straight in my window, mate. I know it's not doing much for the head, as you and I know, mate.
Yes, 100%. I wanted to say this to you. So I did Craig Gordon's testimony on Sunday night, and he got asked the best back four he ever played behind, and you got a mention. So it was you.
Did I get in it first? I might have got a mention, but did I make it?
You made it. It was you, Presley, Webster, and Takis Fisas.
Very, very kind of Big Craigie. Was it a good night?
It was good. It was a Q&A. I made Paul Hartley smile twice, which I think is all you can ask for. Not ideal when you're doing a 20-minute stand-up set, but it's all you could do. We had to finish early because the players were obviously trying to get to Dubai the next day, but that didn't happen. We're also joined by Div MacDonald, Pie and Bovril, head honcho, and original St Mirren ultra, I think it's fair to say. Div, how are you? You good?
I'm good, sir. Yeah, very good. Yep.
I feel like you're in an opposite situation of Robbie, where Robbie looks like he's got the sun on him, and you look like you're in a bunker.
Well, bear in mind it is 6:30. I've never been up this early in my life, so yeah, it's still dark here.
Yes, you have. I saw. Do you know someone talked to me about you recently, Div? But it wasn't. They didn't know your name. It was. They mentioned your bank statement after St Mirren won the cup.
And, that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 400 quid or something like that. But it was an English person who'd never heard of St Mirren, really. They just thought...
Well, there you go. Put us on the map. That was some night.
That's such a legacy. Well, right, let's kick off because there's a few stories to get through actually today. We'll kick off at Tannadice. So the rumour mill's in overdrive, the BBC gossip column, something I visit every day. I was talking about this yesterday, about Johnny Russell returning to Dundee United. 36 years old. He's been playing in the MLS to a decent standard. Robbie, is it a good move for the players? A good move for the club? What do you think?
I think it'll give him a real lift, because I actually know Johnny really well. We used to travel through with him years ago, so played with him, and obviously when I was in America, I actually spoke to him about potentially coming to the Tampa Bay. Ended up going to Real Salt Lake. He always planned to come back with his family. He's got a young family. So, yeah, I can see it, and I think he would give them a lift, because I think at this moment in time, I think Dundee United needs some sort of spark. It looks a little bit flat. I think it would get the fans on side, because he's a bit of a cult hero up there. And I think, I haven't seen him play in the last, this season, but he's still got quality, still got good technique, still really, really fit. So, yeah, I think it would be good for both parties.
Yeah, Robbie, he's not played since October. How long does it take to get up to speed?
Depends what he's been doing. I know I think he's got paddle courts out. He plays padel. Not sure he'll get much of that up in Dundee. So I know there was a few of them had some courts over there. So he's playing a lot of that. Johnny, he'll be fit, and I don't think it'll take him too long to get back up to speed. I wouldn't expect him to be a starter for them. I would expect him to come on and bring a little bit of impact. So yeah, I think if I was Dundee United, I'd be looking to try and get it done at the end of the season.
And for you, Dev, does this signing a 36-year-old just give you flashbacks to the likes of Eric Jemba coming to Paisley?
Oh, what a shambles that was. Do you know what? It just gives me, I don't mind Johnny Russell signing for Dundee United as long as he doesn't sign today and sit on the bench tonight, because St Mirren are that kind of club. I remember the last game of last season when James Forrest was still waiting on his goal, and of course he scored it in the 97th minute against us, and it's just St Mirren are that sort of club. So if it's 0-0 tonight and Johnny Russell comes on with 5 minutes to go and put a fiver on to score, because that's the sort of thing that happens to us. So yeah, I think it'd be a good signing for them. I think, as Robbie says, they probably are. It's got a bit flat for United. They probably need a wee lift, and the fans seem right up for that. It'd be a good signing for them, I think, at this stage of the season as well.
It's interesting you say it's gone a bit flat there yesterday. So United put out some kind of, what would you call it, nice pictures and things like that, because it was Jim Goodwin's 3-year anniversary of since he arrived at Tannadice. Dev, how do you think those 3 years have gone for your former manager?
I think he's done a great job, to be honest. You know, I know that United fans are frustrated more about style of football than as well as results. I think it is. They seem to think Jim is defensive and he's very cautious, and I think that is Jim. That is his style. Obviously, he was successful to a point with St Mirren, but we also lost 2 semi-finals under Jim, and I think the feeling amongst the St Mirren fans at that point was that he was a bit cautious, and certainly in the first semi-final. So it's probably a valid criticism. It's safety first with Jim. But obviously, I'm a St Mirren fan. I love Jim Goodwin, and I think what he's done with United's been very good. You know, Robbie knows it's difficult. The Premiership is a very, very difficult league. United have got a decent budget, but I'm not sure they've got the money to throw around this season that they've maybe had the last couple of seasons, and that's probably hurting them a wee bit. So I think he's done well. You know, that he established them back in the Premiership, got them into Europe. And yeah, this season's been more difficult, but it's been more difficult for a lot of us. So yeah. So yeah, I think over the 3 years, I think Jim's done a good job. I think the knives, unfortunately for him, might be out, especially when he loses tonight.
Nice. Robbie, do you think Jim Goodwin's taken over your legacy as Dundee United manager? Who was a better Dundee United manager between the two of you?
Yeah, I think, Jim's obviously been a lot longer. He had more success. So,
give us a proper answer. Don't say length. Me,
always. So, and I think, like, the different way you've got with Dundee United, you know, who they're competing against and who's doing well. You know, the first port of call generally is Dundee, who are starting to get closer to them. You know, I think it's 2 points now. But because Motherwell have done so well, you know, the style of football as well, I think a lot of managers have come under pressure because the fans want similar to that. Also, Hearts are doing really well. So I think, like, over the last 3 years, Jim's managed to get promoted. He's got stable into the league. He's been at the top 6 round about it. And I think it's, you know, this season, as Dev said, it's a tough season because Falkirk have done unbelievably well, Motherwell have done unbelievably well, and Hearts as well. So everyone else looks as if they're having a difficult season. But in reality, those 3 have just been outstanding.
Yeah, especially when you hear about Hearts. Someone told me the other night at the Hearts there was that they signed Braga for 400,000, and that is sometimes the money that teams have to operate. I know United sold a striker just after the window had closed. I think it was Mahler. So, Robbie, for you, bringing in Johnny Russell, that's probably a position they need to strengthen. But is he going to be bought for just this season when he's 36 years old? When he's going to be 36 years old?
You know, Johnny is at the stage of his career where he'll probably take like 3-4 month deal just to get back and show that he can actually play at that level and be fit. But, you know, I think when they've only scored like 34 goals or something this season, you know, so they need a spark, they need something, and I think Johnny will provide that if they can get the deal done, you know, even in a short-term basis.
Do you not look back at your career, Robbie? See, when you see a former player you played with moving at 35, 36, what age do you move into management at?
I was 34 when I took the Hearts job, yeah, so it's very, very young at that point. So, no, I think, like, Johnny still loves football. He's that type of character, loves it, you know, just loves playing, loves training. And I think when you still love it, you've got to play as long as you can. I got to a point where I enjoyed coaching more than I enjoyed playing. So it was the time to move across. But I think Johnny will eventually go into coaching. But yeah, I think, like, if I was up there, I'd be desperate to get the deal done because they just, as Dev said, they're flat. They just need a lifter. They need something, you know. And if they can get it done before tonight, then, you know, if Johnny's sitting on that bench and, as Dev said, comes on at 80 minutes, you know, Dev will be straight on to the next goal scorer.
Well, if you're talking about needing a lift, Dev, St Mirren, it's just, as an outsider for me, it's fascinating looking in because it seems to have all gone wrong since the League Cup win. And 3 of the next 4 games, they've got Rangers, Falkirk, Celtic in the league. The fixture schedule could play a big part in who wins the league, but also who goes down. How are you feeling about it all?
It has been, even by St Mirren standards, it's been a bonker season. To be fair, our league form has been poor all season, even in the lead up to the final. But I felt we kind of took our eye off the ball a little bit straight after the final. We did actually win our first league game straight after it, beat Livingston. We've only won once since then, so that was December. And of course, the only team we've beat since then is Hearts, who nobody else has beaten barely all season. And of course, we did beat them. It's been tough, but we have had a few injuries. We've got a really small squad. We lost pretty much 2 of our best 3 midfielders in Bacchus and O'Hara in the lead up and straight after the final. And that really hurt us. We lost Jonah Ayunga, which has hurt us. So I'm not making excuses, but I think for me, it feels like teams have just got onto the way that we play. We play a particular way. I think everybody knows that. I don't think it's as agricultural as people would have you believe. We do play some football, some good football at times, but we're rigid with our shape. We're rigid with how we play. We don't really want the ball. We're happy to give the opposition the ball, and when other teams don't want the ball, that creates an interesting concept for us. So, like when Partick Thistle come to St Mirren on Sunday night, if they sit in deep, historically we've not been very good at dealing with that. But anyway, I think we've become a wee bit predictable. We've had a few injuries, but what I did see on Saturday against Livingston, and I know it was Livingston, but I think Livingston have actually improved quite a lot under Marvin Bartley. I thought we looked a bit more like our old self. Bacchus was back, O'Hara was back. Of course, now lost Mika Mandron, he dislocated his shoulder, so that's another blow. But we do have quite a few options up top, but at the end of the day, that is our Achilles heel. Robbie's talking about Dundee United's only scoring 34 goals. We've scored less than that. We are the lowest scorers in the league, and we just don't score goals. And away from home, we've not kept a clean sheet all season, not one. So that's a big problem. We've won 1 game away from home all season, and that was in September. So our away form has been bad. Lack of goals has killed us, and we've been predictable. But we're cup specialists, Ray, which you'll appreciate ahead of Sunday's quarter-final tie. We've not lost a cup tie all season, other than in our both on penalties in the League Cup group stage.
Do you know what?
Which we don't talk about.
I was listening to that thinking, we've got a chance on Sunday, and then you did mention that, yeah. Robbie, can you see any positivity in Paisley, or do you think it is squeaky bum time?
I think Div's obviously the pessimism set in, and I didn't actually realise that about Mandron as well, that he's out with a shoulder injury. That is a big blow for them, I think, because they've only scored 22 goals. So it's been a really strange season, I think, for St Mirren, looking from a distance. Obviously the success of the cup run and getting to the final and winning it, and then the disappointment of the league. And I just think that I don't know where the goals are coming from. I know that the recent game, I think against Murrow, Stephen changed the shape a little bit. Didn't work. So does he keep going back to the 5-3-2, or does he flip it about? I think he's desperately trying to find some sort of winning formula. So, that always creates problems as well, because, you get that uncertainty with the players. You're playing a 4, you're playing a 5, or do you just commit to the 5 again, but you're losing games? So, yeah, it's been a tough season. Will they get dragged into it? I still think they're better than Kilmarnock, to be honest with you. I don't think Livy aren't going to get there. I think they'll be down the bottom at the end of it, but I still don't think... I think St Mirren have got enough just to stay out of that bottom 2.
What about you, Div? Do you think the same as Robbie?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, as I say, I saw there was signs there on Saturday that we did go back to basics. Robbie's right. We changed the shape against Motherwell. It didn't work. Motherwell absolutely hammered us, picked us apart. Could have been more than 5, albeit we did get a player sent off unjustly after an hour. That game was done by then, to be fair. So I think Robbo was desperately trying to get a spark in them. It didn't work. Saturday we were straight back to the 3 at the back, that is our hallmark under Robbo. But the midfield 3 was back. Phillips, Bacchus, O'Hara. The energy that they brought was much better. Daniel Lindelof had his best game for ages up top. Mika being out is a huge blow, no doubt about that. We've got Jake Young, we've got Kieran Atete, and we've got Roland Adobe who can come in there, so to partner Dan. So I'm confident enough that we've certainly not going to be anywhere near the bottom. I think Livingston are toast now. Unfortunately, Saturday they had to win that. They're not going to make up 10 points on us, and if we have to go to the playoff to beat Partick Thistle in that, then so be it. You know, as Robbie knows, that one are also good in playoff finals.
Yes, correct.
Sorry, Robbie.
Haven't you? You've been waiting.
I had to bring it up.
And that was incredible. You don't get that a lot. Within a 5-second period, he slagged off both other people on this podcast. That's very good. Well done.
It's just a one way. I'm sorry.
You can
catch a good pacey boy. He knows.
He's loyal. You can catch full commentary on tonight's Dundee United against St Mirren match with Sports Sound on Radio Scotland Extra from 7 p.m. this evening. Okay, let's look forward to the World Cup now, just 100 days away. So, Robbie, where are you feeling about this just now? Are you hopeful with the Scotland team? Where do you have concerns? Obviously, even more injuries at the weekend. Looks like Craig Gordon won't be making the squad this time. Angus Gunn's not playing. No Aaron Hickey. Scott McTominay still not in the Napoli squad. John McGinn not back yet. It goes on and on and on. No Ben Gannon-Doak still not back from Bournemouth after picking up that injury in the last Scotland game. How are you feeling about it all?
Just looking forward to it, to be honest with you, Ray. You know, I think it's going to be brilliant. You know, we've got obviously the build-up games. We've got Japan, Ivory Coast and Curacao. And then it starts it. And I think that's always the nature of going to work of these big competitions, is that people will get injured, but other people can step up to the plate. I also think that quite a few of these injured players will be, you know, at the back of their mind, they're thinking about the World Cup. So they're timing their return and making sure when they do come back, they're ready and they're not coming back early. I think the biggest concern for me is the goalkeeper situation. You know, we don't really have one that's playing. Bain to an extent, but, you know, we're going to get a World Cup with him. Craig Gordon, as you say, probably going to be out. Gunn not playing. So, yeah, I think that's the big position for me is the issue. You know, everywhere else, I think we've got a good squad. So, yeah, excited about it.
What about yourself, Dev? Are you heading out to America?
I didn't get tickets, and the official line is I'm not going, but we'll see. We'll see nearer the time. If something comes up, I'd love to go. You know, I was in Germany and it was unbelievable. I think this will be obviously different, but it would just be amazing to be there for a World Cup. You know, if I grew up watching us go to 5 and I didn't go to any of them, but I was around. If I didn't go to any of those, I thought, there'll be plenty of time to go to World Cups. and here we are 40 years later and or whatever it is, and we're back. So I think you always want to be part of the big stage. I think, as I say, it's going to be very different this year, just because of the split across the 3 countries. And, you know, it's not, America's not a, well, again, Robbie knows, it's a soccer nation. It's not a soccer nation. So it'll be different, whereas Germany was the best place ever for Scotland to be going to. You know, the infrastructure, the football, the stadiums, the beer, everything was incredible. So it would be very different. But yeah, I'd love to go, but at the moment, no. Unfortunately, not enough points.
Well, see, I noticed you said you're going to be winding down a bit more on Twitter, Div. You're someone who gets a lot of fan interaction. What do you think the general feeling about fans going to the World Cup is? Because ticket prices is so expensive. There's concern about cities not having the money to put things on. No one really truly knows what the fan experience is like, because, like you said, like yourself, I was in Germany for 10 days. It was incredible because of Scotland fans were everywhere, no matter where you went. And it doesn't feel like it's going to be like this time. And then you add in other things, like it looks like at the time we're recording, Iran could be pulling out of the World Cup. There could be another team coming in there. It just seems a bit more unstable than Germany, I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, unstable is a good word for it. I think the States in general, even before the events of the last few days, was given cause for some concern, you know, and just in terms of what's going on over there. It is very different. It's kind of lower key build-up, I would say, at this point than I would have expected. But then I think that is the general feeling. There's a lot of uncertainty still about what's going on in the world. There's a lot bigger things in football, obviously, going on. The States are very much part of that. It seems a bit crazy over there, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, it's the ticket price is horrendous. I paid a bit over the score for tickets in Germany because that's what was available to me, say £400 for the first game, which I've never paid that for a game. And I thought, well...
But that was face value as well, wasn't it, Div? That was face value.
That was face value, yeah. But that was the opening game of the Euros. It felt worth it. Obviously didn't massively turn out that way. We got 5-1, but it was still incredible to be part of, and you can't put a price on memories. And the build up to that, the crying at the anthem and stuff like that, that was worth it, even regardless of the score. This one, you're talking, I don't know what some people have been paying for tickets, and the real hardy guys that go everywhere, they're all going, and that's what it's all about. It's not about people like me that I go to all the home games. I maybe get an away game, a campaign. That's it for me. So I don't really, I appreciate, I don't deserve a cheap ticket. That's for the guys that go everywhere, and I totally get that. So, but I think we'll still take a lot over there. I think people have a great time because it's Scotland and that's what we do. And I'm jealous of people that are going. I still think it'll be an amazing occasion to be, especially the Brazil game in Miami. I think it'll be unbelievable. So yeah, I'll be watching from home probably, I think.
It definitely feels that way where in Germany people were going out for all 3 games, whereas people are picking 1 or 2 definitely for this one, just financially. Robbie, as someone who spent, a couple of years out in the States and travelled all over, how big an event will the World Cup be for ordinary Americans, your Joe Blogs, the people you were meeting on a day-to-day basis out with football? Will they be excited for the World Cup, do you think?
It's quite funny out there, right, to be honest. So at the moment it's the 4th biggest sport, and it's like almost a niche market, and it's one of the reasons that they're putting the World Cup there is because they want to try and expand it as much. So, you go over to Miami, the World Cup's on, and there'll be, a huge percentage of the population there that don't even know a game's on. That's just the way the sport is. So it's strange. It will be. It's a vast country. You're talking, couple of thousand miles between games. So you're not going to get a lot of people that will travel between them. There is a huge, Scottish population over there, so there will be a lot of Scots. And to be honest, they know how to put a party on as well. They do. It'll be just a different feel to the whole football or soccer experience out there. They have before the game, they have in the car parks, they have the barbecues out and stuff like that. So it's not what we're used to. So it's just different. It's more of a family kind of carnival atmosphere for the niche rather than, go to Germany and it's a proper football environment. So it'll be, for the guys going, it'll be different. That's for sure.
I give it 20 minutes before a drunk Scottish fan accidentally sits on a barbecue, and it feels like that is what's going to happen, doesn't it? That is 100% going to happen.
The Scottish guys will have is getting through the border control. Because honestly, I've been to America, you go there and you're on your phone on the line, or if you're doing anything that ends out a line, you're back on the plane again. So the guys need to be well behaved. I think there'll be a lot of guys getting turned back after a few cans on the plane.
It's a lovely thought. They've said we were meant to be playing, it looked like we were going to be playing Peru as our final game out there. They announced last night, unofficially again, that they're going to be playing Spain. I think it was a more money tie, so the chat is we'll now potentially be playing Venezuela. Just on there, it's not been confirmed yet, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. If we move away from the men's team, Dev, Scotland women face Luxembourg tonight in their opening World Cup qualifier. A big change actually for the Scottish women team when you've got Caroline Weir as a captain, Erin Cuthbert as a new vice captain. A team that, when I've spoke to a lot of the players, have massively underachieved over the past 3-4 years when you've got generational talents like Erin and Caroline there. Luxembourg, good opportunity to get the campaign off to a good start, innit?
I'll take your word for that. I don't know about women's football in Luxembourg, but I'm hoping the girls can get a few goals against them, because, it does sound as though they need a bit of a lift.
It's definitely. Robbie, do you think Melissa Andreatta has come in, can take us to that next step? Because you must have been part of teams where you feel like we're much better than the sum of these parts, and it's not happening just now.
Yeah, I think when the Scottish women's team, that they've a number of really top players, but they don't have a consistent 11 or 14 top players. You know, and I think the women's game now is becoming quite a bit like the men's game in that, you know, you have the Premiership, you get the American teams, you get the Premiership teams down in England, and then there's a huge gulf between everyone else. So if you don't have a consistent amount of players in that top echelon, it's very, very difficult. You know, the men's national team went through that for a long period, potentially still do, you know, but probably 10, 15 years ago, we had 3 or 4, your Dan Fletchers, the top talent, and then everyone else was, you know, playing in the Scottish Premier League. You know, so until Scotland's women's team get to the stage where they've got 14, 15 players at elite level, they're always going to have that inconsistency.
Yeah, something I like. I've spent a lot of time in the women's camp with Scotland, and it just feels like we're on the cusp of something, and it hopefully should be something good. You just never know, because the last World Cup we qualified was 2019. It's been a long time since a major tournament. If you want to watch that game, you can see Luxembourg v Scotland live on the BBC Scotland website or on iPlayer. Kickoff is at 6:30 tonight. That's all we got time for. Many thanks to Robbie and Div, and thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day. So to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. Big game for St Mirren tonight against Dundee United. Remember, you can listen to that on Radio Scotland Extra. And let's hope, I think we all agree, that Div is wrong and St Mirren are no longer a cup team and they get absolutely cuffed by Partick Thistle on Sunday. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the sorer obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line, somebody's washing, you know.
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is, you know?
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
A ball map.
Look at the ball map. What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.